Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Making It with Marcus and Mariana. I'm Mariana.
And I'm Marcus.
Today we are going to talk about what everybody is talking about. People who work in production like us has, everyone talking about Quiet on Set. Quiet on Set is like a mini, I guess, I don't know, docu-series about what's been happening for childhood actors and like a lot of people who are involved with Nickelodeon. And I think that's something that we especially grew up on. So just knowing that like that's out there, it kind of like took a whole different perspective on childhood television for us.
Yeah, definitely hits home. I mean, a lot of the shows that we saw them talking about in there and a lot of the actors that they mentioned were totally the stars of the shows that I watched when I was growing up. And, in a way it feels like we kind of got cheated a little bit now, like looking back at it, like a lot of that stuff was real and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate, really.
It's sad. It's sad to think that kids who are going through that, like I know that me at like 10 years old, I didn't know what some of the things that they were talking about on there
Yeah.
was that was sexualized for children, and that's not like fair to them to like then be put out there in the open and that actually happened to them, and everyone on set working there is an adult. So like
hmm
the fact that the adults know and they're just talking about, Zoe on Zoe 101 getting this ooze in her face, and it's like we now know what that is as adults, but like that's not fair to a child.
No, and it's crazy to think like, nobody really stepped up in those moments. Like, and I understand totally that there was a lot of fear, and I think they mentioned it. There was only a couple of people that were doing interviews for that reason, that they were in
Yeah.
fear of losing their job or whatever reprimandment would come from it.
Or even not knowing, like there was someone on there who her face was covered, and it's like you just don't know if you can get a job after that
hmm
if you say something. Or even the one mom on there was saying like I talk a lot, so my son, they don't really want him to come back. Or and they knew that, they knew if the
Yep.
parent was the one that was like talking, they're like, okay, well, sorry, your kid doesn't get a chance.
Yeah, the one that's gonna try to fight back, or put some pressure on, executives and stuff like that.
Yeah,
They
and
just would get rid of them
in
for the
some
moment.
ways like that really ruins kids. Like I mean, poor Amanda Bynes, like she was sheltered from what was really happening, but that didn't save her.
hmm
So it's like these children, and they brought up one point where it's like all the kids were put in a room and they were in like a meeting and they asked the parents to leave, and that's when they wanted to talk about the sexual, like if anyone's like been, whoever was arrested, Brian Peck, and then if they wanted to like talk about it, and everyone was
Yeah,
just like, why would you even take the parents out of the room? It's like you're,
the parents should be there when the kids are talking about
yeah,
it.
like
It's
I would be pissed.
Yeah, because as a parent, I'm sure at the parents themselves, I'm sure all they care about is how their kid feels about the situation. It doesn't matter. The kid shouldn't have to express that to their
Well, yeah,
boss.
the safety of their parent. Like Drake Bell's dad was like, "Oh, I'm glad that guy finally got caught. Like I always knew something was up." And it's like those are
He
the
knew.
parents that like are aware and protect their children,
hmm
and it's like they still can't win sometimes because of the politics in it. I'll say
Yeah, I
again,
mean, they almost figured out a way to like shun the dad out, so that
manipulating.
manipulated him out of the way. The mom and um, just a few other people in general, like were able to get him out of the picture so that he
Yeah,
wasn't able to continue to figure it out because he
and
knew
I
from
feel
early
like
on.
even with like, because now there's the Me Too movement and there's all these movements that are like brought to like our attention that are saying like, hey, this is what's really wrong. And it's a lot of the times it's women,
hmm
but there are still so many guys that are taken advantage of that. So I can only imagine what Drake Bell was going through, where he probably felt like he couldn't say anything because no one might believe him,
Right.
or I'm a guy and like this doesn't happen to guys, or why is this so like that just like takes a whole other level of like just being able to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it almost kind of brings on a level, not a level of fear necessarily, but it makes you think like, where else is this happening? Like, it makes you want to be more aware. Like, is this potentially happening anywhere or in your environment that you're working in, or, that your friends are working in and stuff like that. And just, you kind of want everybody to be more diligent about
Yeah.
focusing on those kind of things because anybody clearly can be vulnerable. Like, even famous rich kids that are on there to do their job and just have make fun and entertainment television.
The one kid was saying, he was like, "Man, I just want to get the next season so I could get my family out of like the
Yeah,
ghetto." And it was like the hood, and it was like that really like also hits home because it's like you fight and work for this position, but someone else is in control of where you can end up, and
yep.
that's not fair to these kids. And it's like, what is their ulterior motive with like me?
Just taking it. They all they cared about was taking advantage of them.
It
And
was, I mean, for example, Dan Schneider was like, the first girl was like, oh, well, Amanda came along and then I was gone. So it was like whoever the next money
hmm
pot
cash cow.
was, yeah, like straight up. So it was like, okay, Amanda's great. So let's go to her. And then, okay, now we want two guys, cool, Drake and Josh. And then it's like, now you got like iCarly. So it's like all
Yeah,
these things and it's constant and that people only see the dollar signs. And I mean, money is the root to all evil.
yeah. Money's root to all evil, and at the same time, and people don't necessarily see it and realize it that these actors and kids are really just people at the same time. They're not
Mm-hmm.
just the people that we see on TV. That at the same, they're really just
Mm.
acting and.
I just spelled no.
No, they're just acting, but they're real people, and some of them get treated like shit, and it's unfortunate, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, that's where like their families, or you had said it actually, like people become, they said it on there, you brought it back up, that kids become the breadwinners of their
hmm
household. So that puts a lot more stress on them. I mean, I listened to Jeanette McCurdy's book. I'm glad my mother died. And so it's like she talks about her early childhood traumas, or not, to her, they weren't traumas back then, but it was her mom just wanted her to act. And
Yeah,
everything to her was, if it makes my mom happy, it makes me happy. And then you have that burden on you. And then what did I see earlier? It was like Honey Boo Boo.
yeah,
And
exactly.
her mom somehow took all of her money. And if you don't know who Honey Boo Boo is, she was on Toddlers and Tiaras. I used to love that
Yeah.
show. Like, so to me, it's like that's really sad when you get to an age of 18 and you want to go to college,
Now everything's gone. All the stuff that you did throughout your childhood,
and it's
and
like, what?
you finally think
I'm
you
gonna sue my
cash
mom.
in. Yeah, exactly. What are you gonna do? What are you supposed
I
to
mean,
do?
yeah, like you totally could in that sense, but it's like, I mean, she said that she did it right and she took her money in a way that she can't come back and sue her. But like, still, it's like that creates such a void in families. And I know,
Totally.
especially money, like when someone passes away, it's in the what's in the will and who gets what, and like that's an issue. So it's like I feel like money, again, root to all evil. So whenever it's someone who has to make a big decision based off of how much money I'm going to make at the end of the day and not care like who's left to in the dust.
Yeah, it really can corrupt people and just kind of it that'll show people's true colors. Seeing when people like come into a lot of money or whatever it is like that, if they become into like a manager position or something like that, and they see what it's like to have that power and have that control of a situation, you'll see their true colors come out and see how they respond and react in those situations.
Yeah, I mean, again, that is also part of like the ulterior motive is like, me getting a job. It's, when I'm out there and I'm working and it's like someone asks me like, hey, how much do you get? How much are you making? And it's like, oh, that person might not mean it in a way of like, oh,
Out of
comparing, yeah, out of
curiosity.
curiosity. But then it's like, I'm going to tell you, and maybe I do make more than you. And now you're feeling some type of way about me. And every day after that is you felt some type of way because I make $5 or $100
Right,
more than
right.
you. That's not fair.
I know, and it's crazy because that is kind of a culture like at work to not necessarily talk about how much you make and stuff like that because people really do use that against each other and they spin it in ways where it's not necessarily the truth and make people to be bad like worse than they are and make people out to be you know fiends like almost they feel like they're some people are so weird about that.
But I think it's fair because I was in a work environment where I know that that did affect other people. And it's like
Yeah,
you're
for
in the
sure.
same position and you don't really know what someone else goes through or how many jobs they've had previously to get them that extra $100, or, so I do agree that you shouldn't really talk about how much you make in the workforce because that's your business. No one should really go around talking about, obviously
Mhm.
there's a base price. So if you need help, like I remember my first job as an associate producer, I didn't ask or I didn't negotiate, we'll say, my pay. I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah.
And I ended up being the best AP there that season. And I realized I was like, man, I'm the best AP, but I'm getting paid the lowest. I booked the most amount of stuff here. Okay, next time around, I'm going to, negotiate a little bit more for myself and know that like I'm worth something more. But
Sure.
and I was able to reach out to my supervisor and say, hey, like, what is a good range or price to ask for? And especially if someone's helping you get that job, like, you can definitely turn to them and be like, hey, like, I'm looking to get this job, and, they're asking me how much I got paid, and I want to say more. So, and I think there is a fair ground in who you can and can't talk to about certain things like that. Again, it's all about who you can trust and that first, like, instinct with them. Like, if I'm
Yeah.
like, immediately, I can trust you, I'm like, okay, cool, I can trust you. If I'm like, I'm still going to tiptoe around you.
Definitely. I feel like we both kind of have those good relationships with coworkers that we feel like we can go to them about, you know, am I getting paid like the right amount, like for what the work that I'm doing and the amount of time that I'm putting into this? Because there might be other people that are making, a few $100 more than you and honestly not doing as much. And it's just,
Yeah.
it does definitely leave like a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth because why am I putting all this work in to get paid less?
Yeah.
Like you understand, like sure, it may not be our managers or supervisors' faults because they don't necessarily you haven't come and spoken to them about it. So certain situations you can, certain situations you can't. I've definitely been in a job where I don't necessarily feel comfortable going to my superior and being like, hey, honestly, I'm putting in this much work and I do want some more money. And other times I have, and it's worked out for me, and it hasn't worked out for me. And
Yeah, because you can be scared not knowing, like, if I do ask, am I going to get fired?
right,
Like, am I
exactly. Like, is it
asking
gonna
too much for them?
exactly, like, am I gonna become needy, that needy employee that's never happy, and you don't ever want it to come off that way. Because also that's not how I would approach it
Yeah,
necessarily.
I feel like there's a middle ground between that, because, what are your boundaries for working? And
Mhm.
obviously they only pay so much or whatever they can pay. But I feel like there is like a ground where it's like you're working 24 hours around the clock. Okay, pay me for those 24 hours around the clock instead of the 12 that you want to pay me for.
Right. Yeah, no, it happens all the time, and because for me, I hire crews all over the country, so when they give me their prices, I know that that is their rate that they probably necessarily, charge people for, but sometimes if we don't have that in our budget or I wanted to save in certain areas so that we can spend more on other areas, I'll ask them to come down on their rate. And sometimes it's not necessarily seen as fair, and some people are
Yeah.
very against it. Some people are very firm with their rate, and I totally respect it because you know your worth. And I'm the same way. I probably wouldn't come down on my rate. Like when I get my next job, I'm not getting paid less than I get paid now, or I'm not
Oh
even,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that's kind of always moving up, but in certain situations, I might do somebody a favor and,
Yeah, I
if
mean,
it's a low budget production.
it depends on what it is. It depends on
For
who it is
sure.
in that sense. I know I would take the same pay for a title in that sense. Like, say, like, another production wanted me on, and they were gonna hire me as a producer with the same pay, but I got that title, and I can then take that title and go somewhere else with it.
Yeah, that's fair,
And
totally.
knowing something like that. I mean, if it was reversed and I was going somewhere lower title and lower pay or anything in like that range of just like not giving me what I'm worth, but knowing like, oh, okay, like maybe I have to lose one to gain the other just a little
Yeah,
bit.
and I
Like,
think
that's worth it.
also even, like, just chasing your happiness in your job. So if
Yeah.
you are in a space that you love and you're so passionate about, honestly, sometimes the pay doesn't even matter at that point because you can feel that's, like, where you belong, and that's where you can build on your career, and, maybe you are getting paid less than your previous job, but you're to be able to feel comfortable and happy in that position is kind of it pays for itself in that way.
Yeah, I agree. Because I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not happy with what you're doing, why are you even
Why are you even doing it?
doing it?
Yeah.
Hey there, marvelous movers and shakers, tuning in to Making It with Marcus and Mariana. Are you ready to be a badass in a career that brings you pleasure? I'm Madison, dear friends of your new favorite podcast hosts and friendly neighborhood pleasure positive podcast host. And holy F, I've got something mind-blowing for you. Brace yourselves because your career is about to get a pleasure-filled upgrade. If you're ready to level up your career game and reconnect with your inner badass, you're in for a treat. Picture this, a 21-day self-worth reset course designed to unleash your inherent power, brought to you by the Pleasure Positive Podcast. We've curated the best exercises and pleasure practices for self-worth from over 300 episodes of our top-rated sexuality podcast. And trust me, this is a game changer. Every day, you'll have access to guided audio prompts, journal prompts, custom meditations, basically all the secret sauce that has turned our Pleasure Positive Podcast into a must-listen phenomenon. But wait, there's more. Dive into our private Facebook group. It's like the Hogwarts of self-love, full of support and connection to empower you through the 21 days. Now here's the kicker. This transformative journey is normally valued at $37, but it's on the house for you extraordinary listeners of Making It with Mar. Yeah, you heard it right, free. So if you're ready to treat yourself like the VIP you are, reclaim your essence, and kickstart an extraordinary career, sprint over to pleasurepositiveliving.com/makingitwithmar to snatch up your free gift. Your self-worth is like a rare gem. Precious, undeniable, and definitely worth flaunting. Don't wait. Take the first steps towards the career of your dreams. Visit pleasurepositiveliving.com/makingitwithmar now and let the magic begin. Disclaimer, this offer is as wild as a unicorn ride with limited time and quirky conditions. Check the website for all the delightful details. Once again, that's pleasurepositiveliving.com/makingitwithmar. pleasurepositiveliving.com/makingitwithmar.
I actually appreciate the timing of this coming out with us working in the industry and kind of being embedded in it and us knowing what our future holds and this is where we want to stay. It makes me look at it in a different way and how we want to continue working and building our company and our lives together.
Yeah, knowing that the uproar is now happening, I would say, like we've had all these different movements and all these different industries, and there's so many levels to it that we get to take it for what it is now, learn from everything. I mean, this stuff happened like 10 years ago, and it's now just hitting us. So I think that if we can take action and the people around us can take action, we're that next generation. Like we are only in our, little later in 20s, like I'm only 27. So I know that I have the next 20 plus 30, 40 years to grow in this industry, and I'll be the EP and the head of the company. And I want that to just transcend down like how I am. I know that's how the people below me are going to be. So, and that it always starts from the top. If you're happy, everyone else is happy. If you're miserable, everyone else is miserable. So for us to have control in that situation now, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, the way the industry's trending and, people showing actual respect to each other and everybody that's around them, I think that's the way we just want to continue to carry it as we go. And like you said, us being the young workers in the production industry, we have to be that leading force to show everybody that you can, have a successful work environment where everybody's actually enjoying work and enjoying the company of their, coworkers and everything. I think it's really important for us, and that'll be definitely something that we, make as an important factor in, our lives.
Yeah, and whatever we do at work, I know that when I go into work, I'm happy. Like I just want to be there. That's what I want to do. And anyone around me that isn't that way, I may not vibe with you. We're not the same level of happiness to be there. That's okay. You've probably been doing this a lot longer than I have. I get that. But that doesn't mean you need to rain on someone else's parade at the same time. I'm happy. I want to be there. I'm living this amazing career that I want to live. And you can't come in and just, oh, I'm having a bad day, so I'm going to put my bad day on you. No, leave that shit at home. Bless you.
Thank you.
So it's just a matter of, really finding our middle ground and all of that. Bless you. I think it's really important for us to now have this understanding of what can go wrong and the signs of what it looks like when it goes wrong. I mean, I feel like if the adults aren't happy, and you can tell that they're not happy, that something is wrong, right?
Big time.
People can hide things. If there's whispers, something's wrong. How can we help change that? And, if you really do see someone not having a good day, go check on them, make sure they're okay. I've been on productions where it gets extremely stressful, and you really just gotta be like, hey, let me lend a helping hand, or, someone's got a lot of work on their hands that day. Hey, can I help you? Just, but be there for that person.
Sensing energy is a real thing. So if you tap into that and focus on that and make it a point to like sense other people's energy. If you, like you said, if you notice that people are down and look like they're having a bad day, you can feel that coming off of them. So yeah, be that person to maybe give them that little bit of uplifting that they might need. And you never know, that your one little small thing, it could, turn into a big thing that helps you further along, or kind of just even makes the day better for everybody in general.
Yeah, be the change you want to see, especially in everyone around you. Because my dad always says, treat people the way you want to be treated, and that's something I've kind of really taken and brought into my everyday life. Because if someone's making me feel shitty or I feel shitty, I'm not gonna want the person next to me feel that way. And no production or any job or career or whatever you're doing is going to flourish if the people around you and you don't want to be there or aren't happy there. So just,
It's all about attitude.
yeah, you have control of the situation and how you take it. And I think everyone in, the quiet on set and, all the young stars and actors that have had to go through something. It's, I feel like it's now our time to fight for them.
Yeah.
To fight to have a better production, fight for the next generation of childhood actors that really want to be there. The kids that really want to do it, give them that safe space.
Totally.
And yeah, just, I think we all deserve to be where we want to be. So if that kid really wants to be there, give them the open space and, no judgment, and just let them do them.
Yeah, and I think it almost just boils down to like giving everybody a fair chance.
Yeah.
A lot of those kids didn't necessarily get that fair chance at living out their dream.
No, especially at such a young age when you have no idea of what the world around you is, and it's only those people that are, it takes a village. So that little village around you, it might be the people on set, it might be the people at home, and that's really what it takes. So if that's all you're seeing, it's in a bad way sheltering you from like what really is out there. And it's not until like 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line that you're realizing like, oh, this is what's really happening to me. And that's unfortunate. So it is our time to fight and shine and like really make it right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we both are already doing a very good job at that. It's something that I think we pride ourselves on. And, now it's just even more so important to continue to do that, knowing that those things went, behind the scenes for so long. It's like you said, it's our time to continue that movement and just be ourselves, because that's how we are. And if we can continue to radiate that to everybody that we're surrounded by, I think we'll always be successful.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, with that, we just want to continue to remind everybody to keep being respectful and be that change that you want to see in your future.
Definitely. That's what we're all about. And from here on out, from the beginning till the end, that's who we are. And we are so grateful to our audience for joining us yet again, another episode of Making It with Marcus and Mariana. I'm Mariana.
And I'm Marcus.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to do the hard stuff like, comment, and subscribe.